Welcome to the latest episode of the pharmaphorum podcast. In this fresh instalment, I made a whistle-stop journey to Rome to catch the inaugural VITA Accelerator demo day, overseen by Senior Program Manager Anastasiya Markvarde and Managing Director Paolo Borella. At the event's conclusion, both Anastasiya and Paolo put some time aside to discuss the themes behind the accelerator, share their thoughts on the day's unfolding, and explore their aspirations for VITA's future, as well as startups in Italy generally. Though the sound quality is at intervals somewhat soft or echo, mostly as regards this host now speaking, my apologies, I do hope you'll find the content as informative and as inspiring as I do. Thank you for listening.
So this is Nicole Raleigh, web editor of pharmaphorum, and I'm here on site in Rome at the VITA Accelerator demo day. And I have with me Anastasiya Markvarde and Paolo Borella. So if you could both just introduce yourselves, tell our listeners who exactly you are.
Hello, everybody. I'm Anastasiya Markvarde, Senior Program Manager at VITA Accelerator. I take care of the program. First of all, of the program content, inviting mentors and experts to our program. I'm also taking care of all the logistics of our program because it's a hybrid program that takes place both online and also on-site in various locations in Italy. And I bring around 5 years of experience of working in different international innovation hubs and accelerators.
Wow, thank you. And you, Paolo.
And I'm Paolo Borella, originally Italian, but I've been living in some more than 10 countries for the last 20 years.
I heard it's something like 20 earlier.
Yeah, depends on how you count.
Italian
yes.
calculation methods.
But yes, I've been probably traveling in more than 60. And but I've been I've been working in my past in innovation for the last 30 years. First with corporates, then working with startups and doing startups. Then lately, in the last 12 years, doing my own startups and helping set up a number of programs on accelerations and open innovations, helping corporate and startups find a way to work together and bring value to the table. So I think it was great to be able to put together this opportunity to launch VITA Accelerator to bring some of the expertise, some of the network, and help to grow the Italian ecosystem, especially for the digital health segment. Thanks with the help of Healthcare Group, Accelerates, and of course CDP, the Fondo Nazionale Acceleratori, that is helping to finance a number of activities in this field in different industries.
Yes, definitely. As you say, this Italian focus, this Italian development, but also with your own international growth, this expansion internationally eventually. But coming back to today, obviously today's been a demo day. We've had 5 of your finalists from this foundational VITA program. So if you could just sort of explain what accelerator models are and how they've evolved in time within the healthcare environment.
I think that is actually a pretty interesting question because I've been working on that one and I've been helping to set up or advising one company doing accelerator benchmarking a few years ago. So I think that the whole industry started some almost 15 years ago with Y Combinators and 500 startups that started in US with this new model of helping to create or rather move the first steps for the startups, giving them a little financing, a lot of support in terms of mentorings and workshops and lectures, and then helping to connect with potential customers and further investors. And the business model was that one of basically, investing, kind of like spray and pray in many, especially for 500 startups, they do, huge volumes. And then hoping that some of those would succeed. And actually they've been, growing tremendously and having huge success stories and many kind of unicorns. Of course, if you think about it, acceleration as an industry, there's been an initial phase with very few early players. Then there's been a growth phase with many. And now there's been more of a consolidation phase where the biggest ones and the most, the better ones are thriving, expanding all over the world. Then we have a number of other ones that are doing very well because you focus on a specific segment, industry, rather than a specific geography. I would say more industry lately than not. Mm-hmm. And so I think that we are a bit in this phase. Italy from that on a global scale. If I think about Italy, I see that Italy is kind of like a few years behind. I would say from 2 to 7, depending on who you benchmark against, US versus others. And we are here to help, basically, with VITA Accelerator. We want to help to accelerate this growth and move forward and catch up a bit with some of the other countries that are there. And so the model is basically to help select promising startups, finance them, help them with specific mentoring and workshops and lectures, so expertise in particular areas where they are weak, and help them to move faster and increase the chances for success.
Thank you. And do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I do agree with that opinion, and I do see this trend of moving from generic acceleration towards very specific acceleration. And if we look at pharma companies, among the usual suspects, there are J&J Labs, AstraZeneca Incubator, Bayer Grand Raps, Novartis Biome, and we all know them, so there is no really need to cover what they do. But then there is also a trend of those accelerators that emerge to cover a very specific need of the corporate. For example, one of those is Pfizer Clinical Supply Chain Organization that brings in external innovation that helps reduce cycle times, accelerates study starts, and improves patient adherence. And we think that with VITA, we are somewhere here in this point where we help solve specific challenges as we do with our partners. Another interesting example is Zambon Pharma, in Italian pharma that we partner with for VITA Accelerator. They already have their own accelerator, which is Open Accelerator, but they also partner with VITA because we cover different need and solve different challenge. So there is not only just pharma participating or having their own incubators, but there is a overall diversity of needs for acceleration.
So this is what we're talking about when we say a shift from the traditional to the vertical tailored.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I think there's one more element to add on what Anastasiya said that I fully agree. And it's actually this shift as well that I said that very few can do a world-class accelerator program on their own. So what are we doing with VITA is actually do we want to have it, let's say, multi-branded, so like multiple partners join one program and we work together so that there is value for the ecosystem because multiple players come together and bring more value than just working on your own. And the other one is more advantageous for the corporates because if they are at the very beginning and they need to learn, they can learn from the others and they can do it faster, leveraging programs like these. And with, of course, more affordable than if you do your own program that requires typically an investments of, from $500,000 to $2 million per year for, typically a commitment of 5 to 10 years if you want to really obtain results because, there's always a time to ramp up the program and then to leverage it. So I think that is a very good offering for the Italian market, especially in this phase of the ecosystem.
Yes, I was just thinking about earlier what Berta was saying about partnership for innovation. And yes, I mean, it seems to be very much the way things must be going forward in order to enact these changes that you are working towards. But coming down to specifics, I mean, perhaps for our listeners, you could just sort of explain the 5 startups that we've heard from today, what they've been putting forth.
Yeah, let's pick one by one. Maybe we can start with, for instance, Paperbox.
Mm-hmm.
I like very young team. I would say a nice story in terms of building a pipeline for creating startups and helping them to move forward. Until basically a year ago, the startup didn't exist. And then they went through one of our partners, Vento, that is helping, they do venture building. So they put together people, then they try to create new teams and so on. And this was probably one of the best success stories that they managed to put together this very effective, young, but very dynamic team focusing on dyslexia. So basically their solution helps to detect dyslexia in the very early stages. So basically via a game, well, the game is a tool, but it helps to detect it very early. So basically they can try to help to detect it before the school so that you can work on treatment before it's really necessary, because otherwise, when you normally detected at school time, but then until the problem is solved, it slows down the student from the learning process. So starting earlier gives an advantage of being cheaper for the society and faster and avoid problems for the children itself when you reach school that you have already addressed and solved the problem. So I really like the approach that they have. They are a very young team, as I said, so they are basically testing with the real customers already now. They're ready soon to launch, and then they're going through a process of medical validation. So we'll go through clinical trials. They will certify themselves for CE and then class 2 later on, 2A later on. So I like that they have this real hands-on approach, early testing, but then they have in mind a structured approach for medical certification, and eventually they want to arrive to provide digital therapeutics, not only the detection on a range of disorders.
Yes, it's a very sort of valid long-term plan that they've put in place there, and I too was quite taken with it. But Anastasiya, for instance, the genetics startup, could you tell us more about that?
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, first of all, I think it's a great example of our cooperation with ecosystem partner, because this startup comes from, I think it's now the third most active investor in Italy, Il Venture Group. They also have a number of incubators and accelerators they're involved in, also together with GDP on different verticals. And it was great to collaborate with them to get suggestions of good teams to enter the VITA program. And yes, they're in the tough market because they're competing with giants like 23andMe. Though they claim that they have competitive advantages, for example, predisposition analysis. And basically what they do is they send you the kit to analyze your DNA with a very scientific and therapeutic approach to your health and wellness problems. And then another highlight around this startup is that, as it's been announced, they're working together with Petrone Group, market leader in pharmacy distribution in Italy. And an interesting thing here is from beauty and wellness, they are entering another segment that we're actually not supposed to announce yet, but they're entering another therapeutic segment where they're going to use this mechanics of testing, of quick, rapid testing, and cooperate with Petrone Group in this project.
Yes, it was interesting. So just briefly to speed through the other three, can we just sort of touch on the points that they're putting forth in digital?
Yeah, so for instance, still continuing on, a team that has been working on a cooperation with one of our partners, Petrone. So there is HU Care. I mean, they've been working already for a while on the workflow and supporting patients and doctors. And now they're working on a very interesting concept with Petrone to streamline and to improve the process between the patients, the doctors, and the pharmacies. I think that there's quite a lot of potential in that area that are working on with this survey that they mentioned on stage. And so we're looking forward to the result of that one for the next steps, and we're going to keep on helping them.
Then
maybe quickly about Evotion. That is a startup that has hardware components, and we're really helping them a lot because, as you know, investors are usually suspicious about hardware component, and it's more difficult to raise funds with that. But they have a wearable for children to detect the possibility of sudden infant death.
And then there was Momi, wasn't there?
Yeah, their product is called Momi.
Yeah, it's the smallest and the smartest device for babies.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they.
And then I think the last one missing is Linari. So that's a very interesting field.
Yes.
So it's combining ophthalmology with the neurology. That is kind of like one of the new areas in the field. So, and I love the concept that they try to leverage, or they leverage the, let's say, neuroplasticity of our brain to try to help to recover capabilities that are, leveraging unused or, let's say, partly used neurons. So from that point of view, they're focusing these solutions on the visual field. And I find it fascinating that there is, a very talented, let's say, inventor or entrepreneur, Stefano Linari, that is finding a way to work with a very traditional pharma that is sci-fi. Well, they're very innovative, but like they're entering this new field that is potential digital therapeutics. And I love the way they're working together to bring this scientific development path, clinical trials, validations, with the IT development entrepreneurial approach of building a platform and enabling therapies to be delivered via the platform. So I really love it, and I think there is a lot of potential there.
There is. What was it? Something like 1 hour per day for 20 days? And
the therapy that I've identified at the moment is actually, is a therapy of 20 days, and you do at least one session a day, and seems to be, showing some interesting results. Of course, what is missing, and this is where, CIFI can bring value, is actually on bringing the methodology to go to market with the, classical medical validation, certification, and clinical trials that you do as a must do in a pharmaceutical industry.
Gosh, yes. So as I say, it was quite the remit, and fascinating that was enabled for your first one. So what next? 2023 VITA. What are your hopes? What are your aspirations?
Well, we hope to do more and better. I mean, like, as I was saying on stage, I think that we are a startup, so we keep on doing, better and better. And then bring more value or accelerate the growth of the industry and the ecosystem as well. That I see one of our missions. So I think, as I was mentioning on stage, we will continue to improve the program. We're doing some, tweaking and tuning so that it becomes more faster, delivering more results more value to the various partners. And then, of course, yes, we're looking for a number of startups that are I would think that we have this dual goal of looking for startups in the generic field of digital health that they think that we can help her. And, they like the services we can offer, they see value in what we can offer, but as well as looking even for some of the startups where there is a match with the innovation challenge of our partners, and help, like we've done this year, to facilitate discussions, align the expectations, and shape project where they can collaborate.
That concludes this episode of the pharmaphorum podcast. You can find more information about this episode, including a download link and information about other installments in the series at pharmaphorum.com/podcast. The pharmaphorum podcast is also available on iTunes, Spotify, Acast, Stitcher, and Podme, where you can find and subscribe by searching for pharmaphorum. And don't forget to visit our website, where you can sign up for daily news and analysis bulletins, and to follow us on Twitter at pharmaphorum. Thanks for listening.
Go perfect from the very first time in such a complex industry. So we are thinking about improvements in terms of speed, logistics, and bringing even more and more value to the startups and partners, hopefully in more interesting therapeutic areas as well.
Yeah, and to add to that one, maybe like small thing, but yes, we're still looking, one of the requirements is to be based in Italy, but we're looking even for international companies that see value in having at least a satellite base in Italy and joining the program, so we can invest in them that way. And, additional thing is that, of course, we will have the demo day at Frontiers Health in 8th and 9th of November. So,
again in Rome.
Yes. Welcome everybody to come and listen to the demo days of the future startup we will select. But if anybody has a startup that think would be interested in what we offer here and focusing on digital health, very welcome to suggest us to put in contact. Or if any potential partner wants to cooperate to this ecosystem, we are always open to new collaborations. Forward to hear from you.
And we're looking forward to hearing further as well. Thank you very much, Anastasiya, Paolo.
It was a real pleasure. Welcome back to visit us again.
Yes, thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you.